unexpected loss of his wife left Jerry devastated. However, when the church wrapped their arms around him, Jerry was able to rise above that grief.
My name is Jerry Strandquist, and July 6th, my wife went in for dental work. We talked before she left for the dentist. 20 minutes later, as I was having my second cup of coffee, I got a call from the dentist, and they said that they had called the paramedic. And I was 2 minutes from the dentist. I rushed over there, got there just as the paramedics arrived. They rushed her to the hospital. I then followed the paramedics and called my children, who all three of my children live out of state, and told them what was going on and hoped that I would have good news. And when I got to the hospital, they had done a CAT scan and they discovered that my wife had something called a brain bleed. Now, my wife that I had talked to that morning, healthy, walked 5-6 miles a day, been married 52 years. She was now in the hospital, and they recommended that they not do surgery and that it was a major brain bleed. They put her in hospice, and a week later, she passed away. She never talked to me. She never opened her eyes. She never squeezed my hand. And on the 13th of July, she passed away. My life obviously has never been the same. And part of the reason why I'm here is I'm talking about the importance of the church in my life. And I'm just wanting to encourage other people to make sure that they're connected to the church, and specifically Dream City Church.
Well, today I had the incredible honor of interviewing Jerry Strandquist from our Dream City Scottsdale campus. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's
now,
great to be here.
Jerry, you had a story that has just happened in this last year, and you have lost your wife. Would you tell us a bit about that?
Well, it actually happened 6 months ago.
Oh.
So it's
More
very
recent.
recent. It's kind of raw. It happened on January 6th. She went in for a dental appointment, and she said goodbye to me, and we kind of joked about some things, had a great 4th of July weekend, and she was in fabulous shape. She walked 5-6 miles a day. No hint that there was anything going on. So I sat down with my second cup of coffee, and I was only 2 minutes from the dental office, and I receive a phone call. I pick it up, and the dentist says to me, "Your wife, we have just called the paramedics on your wife."
What?
And I threw my phone down, and I was at the dental office by the time the paramedics got there. And I rushed back into the dental office, and they were working on my wife, and they took her out, and I followed the paramedics, and doing something which is illegal. I have 3 children, and they all live in other parts of the country. And I called them, and I just said, "I just want you to know that they've taken your mother to the hospital." So I get to the hospital. It was amazing how quick they were. In about 15 minutes, I got there, and they had already given my wife a CAT scan. And the doc asked me, "Would you like to see?" And I said, "Sure." And he showed me the CAT scan. And she had something which was an extensive brain bleed. And so he talked about we could probably operate and maybe extract some of that blood. And I looked at him. He said, "There's swelling, and it doesn't look real good." So I looked at him, and I said, "If this were your mother, would you do that operation?" And he said no.
Why?
She would be paralyzed
Oh.
if she made it. Now, this woman, this wife of mine of 52 years, she was a classy woman.
Yeah.
And the thought of somebody having to feed her, blow her nose, take care of her, she'd have been really ticked off at me. It took about 6 hours for my children to get there, and then we went through the same process again. And it was really easy for us to make that decision. As I looked at the kids, I said, if we operated and she were paralyzed, and
Yeah.
how do you think your mom would feel? And they all said, she would not want us to do that. So she, a day later, they took her to hospice, and she was there for a week. On the 13th of July, she passed away. She never talked to me. She never smiled. She never opened her eyes. And so my world was just radically changed right at that point.
Yeah.
This woman that I knew and loved of 52 years. So it was really pretty amazing. And we've been a part of Dream City Church a little over 5 years. And I got pictures from the church. Somebody sent me pictures of a ladies group, ladies in the lobby at Scottsdale, standing around praying for my wife.
Oh.
There was food that was brought to us. There was support, prayer support. Some of the greatest support I received was from my small group. Mark and Lisa Reed are our leaders, and we have a wild, crazy group. It's just a fabulous group. And every one of them supported me then. I've gone back to the group, and they have continued to support me in my grief. And then something else that I found was really encouraging and helpful were the pastors, which included your dad, Arian and Allison and Barbara Jean and Harold. They just were fabulous. And then the men's group, Neville Moses and Harold and others. I'm leaving out names of men who have reached out to me and supported me and encouraged me. And in this whole process, I've often thought, how would you do it without the church?
Yeah.
You know, for one thing to say, how would I do it without the Lord? I know where she is. But where would I be without the church? And I get pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Because people at Dream City have treated me better than I deserved. And they have been so kind to me, reached out to me, encouraged me, said all kinds of really nice things about my wife and the influence that she had on them. And then there's a little angel who's a part of Dream City, and her name is Shar Halderman. Her husband, Terry, had passed away about a month or maybe 2 months before Kathy did. And she had been a part of a grief share. So Shar reached out to me and said, would it be okay if I signed you up for it? And she signed me up. And I've been going to grief share, and it's been just so amazing, and the kind of support and encouragement that I've received from the church.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough positive things of the support and the encouragement that I've received from Dream City Church in the last 6 months, and it continues on even to this day.
Well, Jerry, your story has rocked my world today. I don't understand how you take someone in for a dental cleaning and your world shifts immediately. And the way you and your family have handled yourself with such class and dignity and the support of the church, it's so encouraging for me to hear that what God called us to do is actually happening and making an impact in the lives of the people who attend this church. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You are such an inspiration to so many people watching today who have dealt with grief and are in the process of dealing with grief.
Thank you.
Well, Dream City Church is a place that walks people through all different seasons of life. Maybe you've recently lost someone. Maybe you lost someone a while back, and you're still dealing with that grief. We have so many amazing groups. You heard it from Jerry himself. If it weren't for that men's group, that women's group, that grief share group to hold his hands up and help him through this season, oh my goodness, we don't know how you would do it without a church. We want to be that church for you today. Go to dreamcitychurch.us and find out how you can get help during this season.